Greetings and welcome to Prime News on my Major Prime. This is the Wednesday edition of the news. My name is BABEY Peldrine Blanche King. A fire incident has reduced a private residence in Mengo 4 kilometers from Galim in Bambutus. The town has a record of repeated attacks within a short period of time, and all these attacks have been attributed to pro-separatists in the country. Details with Nora Kakebi.
This is Mengo, a locality in Galim subdivision in the West region, which has come under attack by separatist fighters. An ugly incident occurred recently where the home of Mr. Tenko Hilary, president of a local vigilante group, was attacked and set ablaze. Sources say the unfortunate incident was perpetrated by some separatist fighters who have for some time been making incursions into the West region of the country. According to Mr. Tenko, he has experienced several attempts on his life in the past by alleged separatist fighters who accuse him of halting the activities in the area. His residence has been brought down to ruins, but fortunately, no human casualties were recorded because he had moved his family away to safety after sensing his life and those of his family were in danger. The gendarmerie in Galim has therefore opened investigations to track down the perpetrators of this heinous crime. It should be recalled that, not long ago, still in the West region, precisely in Menfu, some alleged separatist fighters attacked and killed 4 security men and made away with their arms. For over 5 years now, the armed conflicts in the English-speaking regions of Cameroon have rendered families homeless and life so unbearable for civilians. The fight seems to be extending into the West region, where the separatist fighters do the hit and run. On the 7th of March 2020, separatist fighters attacked Galim security post and killed 3 soldiers, and on the 30th of April 2021, the same group of people attacked and killed 4 soldiers in Menfong, still in Galim, and later brandished the arms and claimed responsibility on social media.
Operation BABEY KUNeh, headed by Colonel Matiang Charles Allen with over 300 men, was launched in Kumbo last month with the mission to clean BABEY division and environs. The operation also permitted troops to get into the hideouts of separatists within the division, considered to be the epicenter of separatists in the northwest region of Cameroon. Bokengo Kemia Worthy completes this story in the following report.
Malgré les balles, malgré les obus, notre mission doit se poursuivre.
It's been more than 3 years down in history since the Anglophone crisis started and escalated in Cameroon, hitting the southwest, most especially the northwest region of the country, in not just education, culture, economy, and more. Most inhabitants of the villages in the northwest regions have fled the comfort of their homes, farmlands, and more to bask in the crumbs of towns like EWANE, Douala, Bafoussam as eternally displaced persons. Many of these people never thinking to return for fear of the unknown. To this regard, the commander of the 5th Military Region Brigade in BABEY, General Nka Vale, on May 15, 2021, launched a clean-up military campaign themed BABEY Clean in a bid to instill some peace in the area.
With the clean-up exercise that was organized and that is ongoing by under the supervision of the general. The security offer has been stepped up enormously, and the population are feeling a sigh of relief.
Though some men in uniform lost their lives and others wounded in this clean-up military campaign, the commander states,
many terrorists have been neutralized. I don't want to give the figure because we are not insisting on figures, because the figures are very important. But unfortunately, also lost some from me during the operation, and somewhere were wounded. Overall, I'm satisfied with the conduct of operation. As I said, it's ongoing. We will continue to clean and even, the power that be should also cleanse Kumbo and the BABEY division.
He also also appeals to the population of Kombo that
I want to appeal to call on the population of the North of Bui Division and the Northwest region for more collaboration with the defense and security forces.
it should be borne in mind that the population of the Northwest and Southwest regions of the country are still waiting for complete implementations of peace strategies discussed and arrived at during the September 30th to October 4th major national dialogue that took place in Yaoundé to this regard.
An academic conference on hate speech and xenophobia in Cameroon took place earlier today at Monanjo in Douala, organized by the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism, represented by Amatutu Muna, representative of Peter Mafani Musonge. Eileen Sama was part of the delegation earlier today, and she compiled the following.
With an upsurge in hate speech and xenophobia in Cameroon, the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism saw the need to launch a new national communication campaign against hate speech and xenophobia on the 5th of May 2021 at the esteemed instructions of President Paul Biya. A month later, CSOs, heads of diplomatic missions and representatives of international organizations, members of government, members of the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism, representatives of political parties, religious and traditional rulers, among others, gathered in Douala for a conference against hate speech and xenophobia to effectively get the campaign rolling. Its objectives were highlighted by Amatutu Muna, representative of the President of the Commission.
Talk about hate speech. You talk about people creating antagonism, people creating through speech different behaviors, people create, and even through language, situations that can spike, hatred, that can spike complexes, that can spike situations that are uncomfortable to other human beings. So what we're here to do is really to create this awareness, to also listen to see if people are aware of what is going on, what their role is in this hate speech and xenophobia, because sometimes we have come to realize that people use certain expression or have certain attitudes, and maybe sometimes they don't even realize what they're doing and how it can hurt others.
However, the phenomena of hate speech and xenophobia weaken national unity and integration, threaten our living together, distort social cohesion and stability, stand against the emergency of sustainable peace in Cameroon, and is most common in the domain of digital communications. Amatutu Muna underscored the role of the media in combating hate speech.
Our role is to try to see if we can create this awareness so that the main media, who are the people carrying most of that, can start to begin to identify and make people become more aware that they have to be careful.
It should be noted that tribalism, favoritism, hatred, suspicion, exclusion, and the rejection of others triggers hate speech and xenophobia. And according to Amatutu, the role of the Bilingualism and Multiculturalism Commission is to get the information and suggestions and present to the head of state, who will then take appropriate decisions.
The lifeless body of a lady who was reportedly abducted last week has been discovered at the Nkolonda neighborhood in the center region of Cameroon. According to sources, she was discovered recently in a corn farm. Fonquinta reports.
Shock and consternation fill the air following the discovery of the lifeless body of Chindaji Zekina at the Nkolonga neighborhood in the central region of Cameroon, few days after she was kidnapped. When I left the house this morning, I came here for work and sent a kid to buy puff-balls for me. Coming here to release myself, I saw a corpse. Chinda Giselle Kene, secretary at the Carrier Gendarmerie post in Yaoundé, was abducted on Thursday, June 8 by some unidentified persons. Reports say her lifeless body was discovered in a confirm at about 8 a.m. on Tuesday, June 15, with no identification documents on her, and it was only an hour later that a friend who recently moved into Nkolanga identified her.
J'ai été, par les réseaux sociaux ce matin, j'ai été informé de sa disparition.
I was informed through social media this morning about her disappearance. Her kid brother made a publication and I contacted him to find out what is happening. He thought missing Thursday she left for work. She has not returned, so he decided to start a search operation. On my way to work, I saw people standing, and when I asked, I was told there is a female corpse here. When I looked, I discovered she was the one.
Moi, j'ai une femme. On m'a permis de voir et je constate que c'est bel et bien elle.
Giselle's lifeless body was seen unclothed and abandoned in a corn farm with her eyes removed and face destroyed, and according to security officials present at the scene, she was killed somewhere else and her body deposited there after demands for ransom from her parents yielded no fruit. The remains of Giselle has been taken to mortuary. Meanwhile, investigation happened to track down her killers.
You're watching the 6:30 edition of Prime News on My Major Prime. The problem of marketing films and contents by movie makers in Cameroon will soon be a thing of the past. A new platform for the streaming of Cameroonian contents has been launched. The platform, called Gobantu TV, was presented to the press today in Douala during a press conference. Lasha Kingsley attended this press conference. Let's now get an excerpt from a promoter of the online streaming platform.
Right, the new baby is called Gobantu.tv, and we intend to maintain this by making sure that we engage with producers, by making sure that we have our technology up to scratch, because a lot of channels, a lot of platforms get into problems with the technology. So we're doing everything possible, putting whatever needs to be put in to get the platform going. We don't have any plans to stop. We're doing things slowly, but we're getting there. We want to make the impact, and we don't want to rush into doing anything that's not going to be sustainable. So basically, this is us announcing ourselves to the public that we're open for business. We have to start from where they started, and that's why we rely on people to join us in this movement. The extra things we want to offer to producers is that independence, is that autonomy, is that ability to be able to go to a platform, manage the platforms themselves, and know that it's an African platform. They know who is behind the platform, because most people don't know who is behind all these big platforms. To have a quality assurance team, at the moment it was still small, but we're very determined in what we're doing, and we're putting everything in place to make sure we get to where we're going to. So we're going to get a bigger quality assurance team who are.
Today is the International Day of the African Child, observed all over Africa 30 years after the adoption of the Charter to celebrate the implementation of Agenda 2040 for Africa to be fit for African children. Dalingonde highlights the rights of a child, the history of this celebration, and the significance, as well as the role the media has to play in the promotion of the well-being of the African child. Her report.
Every child has the right to an education, the right to good health care, the right of expression, identity, association, protection, food, religion, and many more. But unfortunately, not every child enjoys these rights, especially in the African context. The violation of children's rights in Africa dates as far back as the colonial era, with particular notification in ancient South Africa, which led to the Soweto uprising, where over 10,000 black African students took to the streets on June 16, 1976, protesting the poor quality of education offered them while demanding their right to be taught in their own language during in which over 100 of them were killed.
On 16th June 1976, across many townships of our country, sacrifices were made by youth of that time. People laid down their lives for the sake of freedom.
And on June 16, 1991, after it was first initiated by the Organization of African Unity, it was agreed that this day would be set aside to honor those who participated in the Soweto uprising in 1976. Non-governmental organizations, international organizations, governments, stakeholders, and the media on this day seek to raise awareness of the continuing need for the improvement of education provided to African children, amongst others.
Those are those days where we used to keep our girl children in the house and say the place of a girl child is in the kitchen. Those days have passed. We're in a new era where every child has to go to school.
Celebrating this year's edition under the theme 30 years after the adoption of the Charter, accelerate the implementation of Agenda 2040 for an Africa fit for children. Panelists on In the House, one of my Media Prime TV's top shows, sought to understand from these African children how much of their rights they know.
What are your rights? You have the right to education. You have the right to health care, freedom of expression, have the right to have a name.
While diagnosing the current state of affairs in the country, especially in the Anglophone regions where schools have been perturbed over 5 years now as gross violation of children's rights, the panelists also cited the efforts that have been put in place to uphold the rights of children in Cameroon and Africa as a whole.
The epileptic nature of electricity in Buea has pushed many to conclude that the power supply company is either incompetent or inadequate. Poles litter our streets and stay on the same spot for days before something is done. This is according to reports from denizens, a situation they say exposes a sense of irresponsibility. Clarissa Kowe tells us more from Buea.
The first auditions of Sons of Heron, a gospel music ministration competition, has taken place in Buea in view of the gospel music competition, which is expected to run for 2 months starting July. These are some talented youths drawn from the 2 restive English-speaking regions of Cameroon who have gathered for their first audition. During this first phase of the audition, which was a press conference with journalists, some revelations were made by the administrative head as she stressed on the uniqueness of the upcoming gospel music competition.
The goal is to encourage young Cameroonians in crisis-clicked Cameroon to mount courage, to tell them that all hope is not lost. We make contestants prone to opportunities, meeting personalities that could be beneficial to them, chasing their goals, chasing their career paths as young growing artists.
Furthermore, to the coaches, Sons of Heaven is a gospel music competition beyond just singing, as these talented youths are expected to win souls for Jesus Christ through singing while competing for the 2.5 million francs CFA grand prize.
We are looking out for people who are sold out for God, first of all, and we're looking for people who are ready to use that which God has put in them to reach out to the lost souls out there. The first, you don't know who will be watching you, you don't know what life you'll be touching, you don't know, somebody may be healed by your performance or something like that. Be intentional, bring your best, be skillful, and also please bring us your ministry. We want to be blessed.
A competition which to some contestants, they come well prepared.
In this music ministry for a long time, I have been singing, but I have not come out of my shell. So I saw this competition as an opportunity to show myself to the world.
The singing, I believe, is all about spirituality too, because it counts. If you walk without God, then I'm sure you're going to fail. Because
it should be noted that Sons of Heaven is an international gospel music competition holding simultaneously in 3 countries, namely Nigeria, Cameroon, and the USA. The finalists are expected to meet in the USA, where the grand winner will back home the sum of 2.5 million francs CFA.
That was rather Clarissa Kowe talking about a music launch or the launch of a music competition to take place in the days ahead. Stay with My Media Prime. On a subsequent newscast or subsequent edition of the news, we'll bring you denizens in Boya decrying the epileptic nature of power supply in the town or city of Boya. Still on the 6:30 p.m. newscast, June is Cataract Awareness Month. During this month, people are encouraged to spread awareness and sensitize the population about possible symptoms, treatment, and prevention. Okengo Kemia Wordy tells us more.
Vision constitutes of our ability to see the world in its entirety. However, an estimated 2.2 billion people around the world suffer from vision impairments such as cataracts, which is the leading cause of blindness worldwide.
Cataract is an eye condition that occurs when the lens in your eyes, which is normally clear, becomes cloudy or opaque or even foggy, and this can cause reduced vision or even vision loss. Cataract occurs mostly in elderly people, but there's a type of cataract that occurs at birth, and it's called congenital cataract.
With the prevalence being high in low-middle income countries and the global burden amounting to over $1 billion, according to recent reports from the World Health Organization, the symptoms are many than one and vary from person to person.
The things you could experience as an individual for you to know that, oh, maybe I could have cataract or not, and this include blurry vision, double vision, difficulties seeing at night, changes in the way you see colors, constant change of your prescription over a short period of time.
According to ophthalmologist Dr. Ella, the risk factors for cataracts include
old age, diabetes, obesity, family history of cataract, eye trauma, exposure to some certain kinds of radiations. These are some of the risk factors, some, not all.
With the aim to champion better vision at the global scale this month of June, the World Health Organization urges sufferers and non-sufferers to quit smoking, limit exposure to sun and ultraviolet radiation, reduce alcohol use, wear sunglasses, engage in physical exercise, as well as good lifestyle choices for better, healthier vision.
Let's now join Gladys Bomotongina for top African stories in the French language.
À quelques jours des élections législatives en Éthiopie, prévues pour le 21 janvier prochain, tout le pays est en effervescence. Pour certains, cette élection est essentielle pour un retour à la stabilité durable dans le pays. Ils comptent donc impatiemment les jours jusqu'à ce qu'ils puissent voter. En réponse à une question de conflit pendant cette élection, un habitant de Djima explique que cette élection se déroulera de manière pacifique. 5 jours après sa nomination à la tête du gouvernement centrafricain, le nouveau Premier ministre Henri-Marie Dondra a déclaré à la presse mardi dernier vouloir relancer l'économie de son pays avec la France comme partenaire stratégique. Bien qu'en début janvier, comme on le sait tous, le ministre français des armées a annoncé avoir suspendu sa coopération militaire avec Bangui car il juge le pays comme complice d'une campagne de désinformation massive contre Paris avec la direction de la Russie. Or, l'ancien Premier ministre Firmin Grebada était l'acteur politique de la connexion Centrafrique-Russie, selon le chercheur français Roland Marchal. Certains observateurs estiment donc que cette nomination est un signe d'apaisement du président Touadéra envers Paris. En Ouganda, la police fait le tour des bars arrêtant les personnes en violation au couvre-feu en vigueur qui est de 19 heures. Une mesure barrière au Covid-19 adoptée par le gouvernement le 7 juin dernier en vue de tenter de freiner les effets de la seconde vague qui touche le pays en ce moment. Plus d'une dizaine de personnes ont donc été interceptées depuis dimanche. Toujours dans la lutte contre la pandémie de coronavirus, la Namibie a décrété mardi 15 juin 2021 que les rassemblements publics de plus de 10 personnes ne seront plus permis. Dans une déclaration, le président Hage Geingob dit que la situation s'est empirée au cours des 4 dernières semaines.
We end today's edition of Prime News with sports news compiled by a tape content in the French language.
Demi-finale CAN Handball Dame Senior Cameroun 2021. L'Angola bat la Tunisie et file en finale de 24 buts à 21 après le match qui s'est déroulé aujourd'hui au Palais des Sports de Yaoundé. Lors des quarts de finale, cette équipe avait chicoté la RDC avec 29 buts à 20. Le Cameroun, premier du pool B, joue en ce moment contre le Congo qui a dominé le Sénégal hier avec 21 buts à 20. L'on se souvient également de la large victoire des Lions face au Nigeria avec 44 buts à 14. En rappel, la Tunisie, l'Angola, le Congo et le Cameroun sont qualifiés pour la Coupe du Monde Handball Espagne 2021. Pour l'instant, l'on attend que l'adversaire de l'Angola en finale. Parlant des préparatifs de la CAN Total Cameroun 2022, le ministre des Sports et de l'Éducation physique, Nassis Mouele Kombi, a présidé hier mardi 15 juin une séance de travail CAF-COCAN au Palais Polyvalent des Sports à Yaoundé. En présence du secrétaire général de la CAF, M. Véron Mosengo Omba, accompagné de ses collaborateurs, les experts de la FIFA, le représentant du gouverneur du centre et les membres de la COCAN. L'état de chaque site alloué à la compétition a été passé en revue, lesquels sites augurent une vision satisfaisante sur le plan général. Après ces propos donnés par la presse, le GAP était lancé sur le complexe sportif d'Olimbé pour évaluer l'état d'avancement des travaux qui doivent s'achever en août prochain, avant de déclencher la cérémonie des tirages au sort. Pour marquer la constante collaboration entre la CAF et le COCAN, l'inauguration du bureau de la CAF, toujours à Yaoundé, a suivi à travers la coupure du ruban symbolique dans le bâtiment de la direction du tournoi au stade Omnisport Amadou Ahidjo. Par ailleurs, dans le cadre des qualifications pour cette CAN, la Sierra Leone a validé son ticket pour sa participation à cette compétition du continent. En venant à bout le Bénin, 1-0 hier mardi au stade du Général Lansana Conté de Conakry. C'est la 3e qualification de ce pays pour une phase finale de la Coupe d'Afrique des Nations depuis 1996, dont 25 ans aujourd'hui.
We've come to the end of Prime News on My Major Prime. See you tomorrow, God willing, at 6:30 for another edition of Prime News on My Major Prime. The news was coordinated by Faith TATA, produced by EWANE Airline NOLINGA. My name is BLANCHE King. Stay tuned. Right after now, we'll have a Prime Hour with Kim Leonard. Happy viewing. Good night.